Hey there everyone, AJ back again for the Mighty Gluestick channel. I make videos about Dungeons & Dragons lore full-time and have a collection of hundreds of monster ecology and strategy videos on my channel, including an A to Z list of all of the monsters and the core monster manual. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing as I upload at least twice a week. Shout out to Mason from the Mighty Gluestick Discord server and his homebrew of one of the more unusual races of Forgotten Realms. He inspired me directly to make this video today. Hailing originally from the Oriental Adventures and the Kara Tur Monster Compendium, today we're going to take a closer look, and I'm sure for many of you, an introduction to the Tako. Tako are from that marvelously weird category of creatures that are the remnant of the ancient Batrachi amphibian empire. The creator race that bred the bullywug, the grung, various shapeshifters, and all sorts of other frog people amphibians. They are, some would say, almost too many different kinds of frog folk and amphibians and tentacled horrors in the Dungeons & Dragons game settings. But let me remind you, the ecologies of these fantasy worlds are often richer and more compartmentalized than you and I are used to. Just a few miles may mean a complete change in the general environment. The creatures that live there and the history of the ruins and current intelligent folk who live there can be quite different. The Tako are octopoids. They range from medium to large size. A typical encounter will be with a fully grown adult, about 6 feet in total diameter, covered in tough mantles of leathery skin. The males are normally light green, and the slightly larger females are usually an orange-red. Young Tako appear in a variety of colours, including black, brown, white, blue, and golden. They can change their colour with ease. The Tako tend to simply revert back to these base colours when they're not conversing with each other. It's like their resting face, if you will. Their native language is silent, consisting of a highly complex sign language using their tentacles and a colour-shifting element to it, using their natural ability to change the colour of their skin. The colours provide the tone, emotion, and tense for their language, and the tentacle motion and position. It's a perfect medium for poetry and storytelling, which the Tako excel at. I imagine their stories and poems would be quite popular if only the other races of land and sea had the same sort of perspective as the Tako. Unfortunately, they don't, and of the races that do, the Aboleth and Mind Flayers would not be amused by their stories at all. Tako are not a very aggressive race. They have a close-knit society that puts a lot of emphasis on a strong code of personal honour. They typically avoid violent confrontations unless there is a good reason, such as protecting themselves, their territory, their people, and their allies. Simply keeping out of their home turf is sufficient to avoid conflict with them, but they will travel outside of their home to avenge acts of violence against them. A colony of riled up Takos who have been senselessly slaughtered by evil humanoids just for the rare blue ink sacs in their bodies is a threat to all humanoids around them until the perpetrators are found and killed. The ink sacs are actually useless on land and rarely much use in water, so they're more of a vestigial defense for these large octopoids. The ink is highly valuable though, and it's used for calligraphy. They have 8 supple and dexterous tentacles lined with circular muscles that act as suction cups. They have no difficulty coordinating all of their limbs and will fight with 7 of them potentially holding a weapon, and the 8th tentacle being used to anchor themselves securely to the ground and provide additional leverage that they need when swinging around so many weapons and objects. As they spend a lot of time in and out of the water, they prefer to construct and use spears, tridents, and double-bladed hand axes. Their low centre of gravity, strength, agility, surprising speed, and the large number of limbs makes them quite a challenging opponent even for a skilled humanoid fighter. They tend not to have any sort of tradition of spellcasting though. Tako arcanists, clerics, and druids are very rare, though sorcerers and warlocks do crop up every now and then. Their preferred environment is tidal bays and tropical shores, warm and shallow lakes, hot spring pools, and temperate lands, anywhere with an abundance of warm water and easy access to it. They construct intricate and connected pools and ponds that feed a flow of water over thriving farms of shellfish, crustaceans such as oysters, crayfish, lobsters, barnacles, abalone, sea urchins, aquatic snails, crabs, so on, which they rely on for all their dietary needs. They are carnivores. They also use shell, stone, seaweed, and mineral harvests from their environment for all of their tools and the limited number of living structures that they build. They sleep in simple chambers with openings for the flow of water and an entrance that can be sealed from the inside. They have meeting areas and have chambers devoted to activities that they prefer to keep private and well protected. Tako have no bones. Their plump bodies are tough and rubbery. They can squeeze through small openings and have no trouble staying on the land or water for extended periods of time, though they do prefer to sleep in the water and find moving about in the water to be a more pleasant environment, more free. They have a single golden eye that is centered in their head, and sharp, protruding jaws resemble the bill of a parrot emerging from beneath their tentacles. When they walk around on the land, they tend to rise up so as to keep their beak from scraping along the ground. And when there are trees and such around, they are quite likely to switch to a brachiating movement, swinging around on the branches using their many limbs. They usually move around at a moderate pace, always alert for danger, and when they need to, they can dash to safety or into combat with quite a bit of speed. They are typically of a lawful neutral alignment, not an overly ambitious race. They love their home ponds, their delicious shellfish, and the traditions and company of their own people. They craft artwork from pearls and shells, don't really understand the point of music since sound is not about communication for them, and they find weird noises disconcerting. They have an amazing sense of patterns and colours though. They are happy to trade pigments and pearls, shellfish and rare aquatic plants for precious metals and gemstones. They will be quite keen to try giant spider meat or even cavefisher liqueur, but don't enjoy the taste of mammal meat at all. They also don't eat fruits or vegetables, breads or dairy products at all. And they don't cook their food, they prefer to eat it alive. They most likely find that what humanoids eat to be quite weird and a little bit disgusting. They will be delighted to watch someone enjoy a platter of raw oysters, and only too happy to provide a large meal for them just to see how many the humanoid can eat in one sitting. They'll be very keen to trade for magic items, where allow them to more easily communicate with humanoids, as it takes quite a bit of skill and intelligence for any humanoid actually to understand their language, which means they always have to compromise and try to communicate with the humanoids as best they can using very simple sign language. This is frustrating for these intelligent and imaginative creatures who are often mistreated because ignorant humanoids think of them as nothing but clever animals or invasive aquatic monsters. Sadly, coexistence between Tako and humans is a rare occurrence. Mostly the Tako learn to hate humans and will stick to underwater caves, venturing onto the land only to raid for food, weapons, treasure items. They don't eat human livestock, but their farmed shellfish certainly do. Mason has created a player character version of the Tako. I'll provide a link to this work down below. It's well worth checking out. I can think of a huge number of ways that they could be incorporated into a campaign, and hey, they are an official and legitimate intelligent race of the Forgotten Realms, a perfect complement to the Turtle, for instance, and don't forget, the Turtle do have a related, fully aquatic cousin race. Also, we really need more non-humanoid player character options, in my opinion. Tako do have gender roles. The hunters and warriors are almost exclusively male and make up the bulk of the population, though in rare instances females will seek justice for the death of their loved ones and travel with a war party in an absolute maximum of up to 20 Tako, heavily armed and spoiling for a fight. Though that would be the extreme case. Most Tako tribes will only have 3d4 males, half as many young and 1 or 2 females. Non-player character Tako seek to ambush opponents using their natural camouflage. They have a +3 to stealth and have advantage on their attack roll when they are in a good spot and they've had time to prepare the area. They've got advantage on the stealth, I should say. When they attack, they go all out on the first round, and they do indeed take 7 attack options per round, which gives them quite an edge on their offense. But they don't have a high armor class and don't have a lot of hit points. Also, their limbs are vulnerable to being severed, so combat for them is a very risky venture. They either overpower or they die, and their personal code of honor prevents them from retreating for a fight, even if they are losing. The trick, of course, is surviving the first round of combat, with the Tako springing out from out of nowhere, attacking 7 times with advantage, +5 to hit, +4 to damage, trident, spear, hand axe or grapple with an escape DC of 16 on the grapple. If they crit with the grapple, they can pin the arms of the target as well, so they can't actually fight back. The tentacles have an armor class of 14. The Tako themselves have an armor class of 13, natural armor. The tentacle can be severed if an attack with a slashing weapon does over 5 points of damage directly to the tentacle. The Tako have 5d8 plus 8, or between 13 and 48, with an average of 26 hit points. Females will have an average of 36 hit points. Constricting with a tentacle does 2d4 plus 4 bludgeoning damage. The Tako can also make a beak attack against a grappled target with advantage, +5 to hit, doing 1d4 plus 4 piercing damage. Hand axes, spears, and tridents do 1d6 damage. The Tako don't need to, they don't tend to throw them, as their poor depth perception gives them disadvantage on any ranged attack rolls, so they just don't see the point in it. Mason's stats for the player race Tako are as follows. The ability score increase is your strength increases by 1, and your dexterity increases by 1. The age of the Tako, they mature at 8 years old and can live to be 25 to 30 years old. So not that long-lived species. Alignment, due to the strong sense of tribe, family and honour, Tako tends towards lawful neutral alignments. They count as medium size, having a body usually 5 to 7 feet wide, with females being larger. Their speed, they have a walking and climbing speed of 25 while on land, and a swimming speed of 35. And they can read and write in Common and Tako, their language. They can breathe air and water, of course, and they have a chameleon hide, which can change its colour and sort of its texture to blend in with the surroundings, giving them advantage on all stealth checks, and +3. When a Tako grapples an opponent, they can use their arms to completely restrain the target. The speed is reduced to 0, and it makes any actions or attacks with disadvantage. Also, as a bonus action, the Tako can make a bite attack against the grappled target, which is strength plus proficiency to hit, and 1d4 piercing plus strength bonus. They are boneless, so Tako can squeeze into spaces 6 inches wide, just larger than its beak. Doing so basically halves its movement speed. They can use their siphon to whistle if their own tongue, when they can use that to convert the verbal components of spells to their own language. However, it cannot be used to talk to any other races except for the Tako, who also learn this technique of whistling. Speaking to each other via sound is not natural for the Tako, so it's a learned behaviour, kind of like a normally verbal race would have to learn how to use sign language. I think the Tako could quite easily be found in new colonies across Faerun if they gain the help of other races, or a member of their own race gains the means to transport a small number of them across the world of Toril. Other than that, there are so many perils in the ocean and wilderness, as well as the misconceptions and aggression of dominant and savage humanoid races, that it's very difficult for them to expand much beyond their traditional homelands or find new places with relative safety. In secluded bays, lakes and islands of Kara Tur, they've thrived for a very long time. As an intelligent and fairly resourceful species though, I think you may encounter adventurous members of this race pretty much anywhere. Please hit the like button if you made it this far, subscribe if you like what I do, check out my Patreon for some exclusive content and all the full scripts for these videos, buy some merchandise, wear your geek with pride, and as always, thanks for listening. I'll be back with more for you very soon.